Hey everyone, welcome to Jake's Adventure Garage. Today we have another episode of What's Jake Doing, and it's going to be a good one, so stay tuned. Hey everyone, welcome back. As I said, my name is Jake, and today we have a very nice day outside. It's a little humid, just a touch. Anyway, I have a very exciting thing to show you. As you can see in the background, JC's garage left his truck here for a party coming up this weekend. That is not mine, nor is it my surprise, but this is. We got an XJ. There it is, ladies and gentlemen. The Jeep in all its glory. I'm trying to find a spot to set this where it'll actually stay. So here we have a 1989 Jeep Cherokee. And to put it in perspective, this is 36 years old. So it's not new by any means, certainly not an antique. Well, technically it is an antique in the state of Kansas. If your vehicle is older than 30 years old, it's an antique. So, apologize for the wind. Feels really good though. Technically it is an antique. So any of us that are over 30 are antiques. So a little bit of backstory here. I do have a Razor Pro R, and my wife has been talking about bringing the dogs with us on trips when we go on trips, and we take them, Indy and Luna, on vacation with us or on trips. The problem is that they can't ride in a 2-seat Razor. I would get a 4-seat Razor, but I don't want a 4-seat Razor because of the wheelbase, right? I don't want a 2-cylinder turbo, and the 4-cylinder Pro R has a wheelbase of a yacht. It's basically a yacht on land. We decided we were gonna look for a cheap 1-to-1 SUV truck thing. And since we already have a 4-door XJ, this was not on the top of the list of things to purchase. Rewinding a little bit, in order to purchase something, we had to sell the Skyline. I had a 1991 R32 GTS4, which is the baby GTR. We did end up selling that, and we got fair market value out of it. We didn't do great, we didn't do bad, so all in all, it's good. The new owner gets a piece of history, and it's local here, so I still get to see it if I so choose. We spent probably 4 or more weeks looking around, trying to find things. I did post the Toyota Trekker on YouTube and say we were looking at that. Unfortunately, I couldn't come to an agreement with the seller, and so I moved on. I then found another first-gen 4Runner, and it seems like people selling cars these days, they don't really care, right? Everybody's like berating them with, is this available? And they don't really respond. So that guy just stopped responding to me, which is unfortunate because it was a pretty sweet rig, but it is what it is. The hunt was still on after the first-gen 4Runner stopped communicating. I found a series of other vehicles. It's really hard when you're looking at old vehicles to determine what you want through pictures and things of that nature when looking at old vehicles. Now, I am well versed in the off-road world when it comes to dirt bikes, four-wheelers, and side-by-sides. I have had a couple of Jeeps, but I've never really done any crazy off-roading in them, so I have no idea what to expect. I don't know the difference between a Wagoneer, first-gen axle, second-gen axle. I don't know the difference between all of these different axles. It's a learning curve that I am just now getting to. I get to learn, and I'll share that in some of my videos, but I'm not an expert by any means when it comes to Jeeps or any 1-to-1s and what they entail in off-road. Now, I am decent at wiring and tuning and things like that, so there's going to be a lot of really cool things that happen to this Jeep and my other Jeep, but we're starting with this one. A few weeks ago, we went down to Oklahoma and purchased this Jeep for $7,000, primarily because my wife wanted to be able to haul the dogs around. So now we have a spot for the dogs, and it's a pretty set up Jeep. I wouldn't say that it's going to be a certified line killer and do all these crazy obstacles in Moab and Colorado and here locally, but it'll certainly do everything that I'm comfortable with doing in the beginning. Now, as I get comfort with the vehicle, then I'll try crazier lines. But for right now, it's just kind of like a booze cruise truck that we take on trails and see where it goes. The good news is that this Saturday we are taking it to a off-road park called Tuttle in Manhattan, Kansas, and it's actually by a lake. So I'm going to try and get some footage of that. The square body is going with us, and then we also have a newer 2022, I think, Cherokee as well. Should be a lot of fun. There might be some more people that show up, who knows. Again, I'm still learning. So we'll just start at the bottom and work our way up. So we have a set of Cooper SST Pro tires that are basically like new. Now, I did some research on these, and these are like $500 tires a piece. I don't know how well they'll do, but we're gonna find out. The rear axle is a 1-ton 14 bolt out of a Chevy. So it does have the Chevy lug pattern. I think it has been narrowed some, or it was a dually, because it is pretty narrow. It has a Yukon ring and pinion and a Grizzly locker from Yukon as well, I believe. So it is 4-linked. There's a coil setup and a regular truck shock. I will fix that at some point. I'm not really in a big hurry to make any changes until I see what I like and don't like. That's the rear axle. The front axle here is a Dana 44 out of a Wagoneer. Now, apparently there on this side, there's a code that'll tell you what year of Wagoneer I'm finding via Google. And this one is a Gen 2 Wagoneer, so it's an 80 to 90. Whereas the Gen 1 is a 70 to 80. We still have ball joints, it looks like, in the hubs, which we'll have to change out at some point. Again, we're not going to do anything crazy right out the gate. I'm not really concerned about breaking those right now. I did forget to say that the front and rear do have disc brake, and it does stop on a dime. So stopping is no problem. It has 1-ton steering, coil and shock set up in the front. It is 3-link, and I'm going to be fixing this 3-link because the 3rd link is over here, and it should be on that side, and it is not. So we'll be fixing that in the future at some point. For right now, it runs and drives just fine with no issues, so I'm not hugely concerned about it. And the front has a Yukon gear set with a Grizzly locker as well. I don't know what solid case covers these are. If you guys know, drop a comment. I'd be interested to find out. And then it does have 1-ton steering with the PSC power steering assist, and I think that's like a $2,200 kit for the PSC power steering stuff. So the actual power steering is still stock, and it works just fine. So I'm not really in a rush to change that out either. We have a disconnectable sway bar up front, which is really nice, and yeah, that's about it for the axles. Working our way up, you can see we have these metal sliders here. These are welded to the unibody, and that's really the big downside to the XJ, is that it does have a unibody. And for those that are not familiar with that, what that means is there's no actual chassis to it. The chassis is built into the body, and so you can't lift the body off of the chassis. It's all one piece, and it's very thin. It's very, very thin, and it's very susceptible to bending and things of that nature. So it's quite typical for people to put frame supports throughout the whole unibody to stiffen it up because the stock unibody is so thin. Now, the sliders are welded into the unibody with a set of frame stiffeners, and it works pretty good. Moving into the engine bay, there's nothing special there. We're looking at a stock 4-liter with the stock transmission. I did change the oil in the motor and in the transmission along with the filters in both, and it looks really good. Oil looked really good. The trans fluid didn't smell burnt at all in the least. The old trans gasket was leaking, so it had brand new fluid in it every run, and there was fluid in it. So not a big concern there. I did fix that. I put a new gasket on with the filter. The positive thing there is that the radiator coolant, or antifreeze if you will, looks brand new. It's pristine. So we know that the head gasket is good. There's no issues with the motor, and yeah, it's a huge positive. In terms of the motor and trans, those are pretty much stock. It does have the stock, I believe, 231 transfer case, and these transfer cases is another area where you could just go into oblivion looking at different specs and stuff. So the only difference here is it does have an extended tail housing on the rear to have 2-wheel drive low, and it needs it with these 37-inch SST Pro tires because they are heavy and this 4-liter does not make a lot of power. So in order to go anywhere that's not on a nice smooth surface, you're pretty much going to be in low. The fuel cell in the rear is a tiny tank. I believe it's 10 or 11 gallons, maybe 12, but it's very small and you consume that very quickly with these big tires. And it has a metal cover or skin or whatever you want to call it to protect it. It's like a skid plate type of deal. So we also, speaking of skid plates or protectors, we have these body armor, I guess is what it's called, from CRF maybe, or ORF. I have no idea what that is. The really cool thing here is that the tail lights are built into it, so you won't actually break them, and they're round trailer lights, so you can get those anywhere if they do fall out or they do get broke. Now, as you can see, this Jeep started out, I think, this maroon color. It's been painted about 30 times, it looks like. You can see here it was green at one point, now it's white. I like white. All of my vehicles are white. It came with the stickers. I'm going to leave those there. It does have a set of nice bumpers, front and rear. So the metal bumper in the back, and there's also a metal bumper in the front with a stinger. With the stinger here, as you can see, I did just install these lights from Harbor Freight. I think they're Road Shock Edge. Yeah, Road Shock Edge. They are bright. They're like 120 or 30 or 40 bucks a piece. I can't remember, but they're worth every penny. I do have them wired in for the parking lights, the low beams and the high beams. Did also come with a winch. I'm going to despool that cable and put some synthetic winch line in there at some point. I just haven't had time. We've got some awesome headlights here. And yeah, the final piece up front is the hood vents for heat escape. So these are functional, they do work. There's holes in the hood. Some other tidbits about the front end is we do have a full aluminum radiator, which is very nice. It does not overheat. The PSC Power Steering Assist comes with its own heat exchanger, which is obviously installed there. Moving to the inside of the Jeep, it's definitely old. It's definitely seen some things, and it shows. So the benefit here is that we have manual windows. I think this was a base model Jeep. We do have manual windows, and we have the AC window. This thing right here should make a comeback. Like any off-road vehicle should have these because they are awesome. It does have a cage, but the cage is not actually welded. It's got these in here. I don't have any experience with non-welded cages. How strong are these? If I roll this over, is it gonna collapse that, or is it going to hold it? Let me know in the comments below. Otherwise, it's pretty typical. We have a GMRS radio, which looks like a CB. We have a Bluetooth radio. And then we have a switch panel up here for the lights and the horn. And then it came with this awesome 3D printed cup mount holder thingy, which I'm kind of upset I didn't think about. So that is cool. It does have, I don't know what seats these are, but they are upgraded seats because they do tilt back and forth. I don't think that those are stock. They could be. Somebody can correct me. It has a little sub in it. And then, yeah, the back is pretty much empty. We are getting ready to go out and party in it. So we have our trash bag. We have our bathroom tent and the dog's blanket. Dogs love riding in here. It is a lot of fun for them. There it is, ladies and gentlemen. That is the new project, or project one of this video. Let's talk about some of the things that the Jeep needs. We need to tighten up the front steering. So there's a little bit of play in the steering as it turns right to left, and I think that's in the power steering box itself, which I will fix. It's just a simple adjustment. Some of the other things it needs is I'm going to go through and weld up the frame stiffeners, and also find a way to permanently mount the springs to the body and the axle, because they're not mounted and it makes a ton of noise and it flexes too far. There's no limiters on it, and one of the rear shocks is ripped out because of that. I need to re-weld the mount to the unibody and then weld the springs to the body and the axle. I'll just be tacking them so they stay and they don't separate. The spring will help be like a limiting strap. Some of the other things, I will be adding a fuel tech ECU to this vehicular at some point in the future, because it does kind of die off of idle. Like it hesitates and struggles real bad sometimes, and I'm not sure why. I've checked vacuum lines and I haven't done an excellent job at it, so I probably need to go in and redo the vacuum line check and spray some carb cleaner or something in there, or ether, and then when the engine revs higher, we know that there's a leak there, potentially. That's one method. So a new ECU is in the future for the Jeep, and then checking all the vacuum lines, and then potentially turboing this 4-liter. So I already have injectors and the ECU wiring and everything. I just need to get the ECU, the turbo, and a air-to-water intercooler for it, and throw it together. I don't know how much fuel pump it has. I'll probably have to add a fuel pump too, but I don't plan on making a crazy amount of horsepower. Maybe 350 or so wheel horsepower would be great. Just enough to get the Jeep going, because once it's cruising down the highway, it does just fine. It's really steep hills and taking off that's a problem. I want to have the ability to have some power on some obstacles, and I don't need anything crazy. Just a smaller turbo, probably like a 60 to 62 millimeter turbo, maybe like a 6266 or 6066 from Precision would get the job done, because it is a 4-liter. We do need a little bigger turbo, but we don't need it to be massive. And that's about it. I think that I've covered everything else. We did change all of the fluids, except for the diffs, and we will do that at some point. We'll just weld up the frame stiffeners for the unibody and ensure that everything else looks good underneath the truck, and send it. Some things that I'd like to do, other than the turbo, and the turbo is probably not going to happen for a good 2 or 3 months at the minimum. But some other things that I'd like to do are get some different wheels and tires. These are not true beadlock wheels. I'd like to get some actual beadlock wheels for it. But we won't really do anything right away that's going to require them, I don't think. That could change pretty quickly. Who knows? This is Project 1. Welcome, the Jeep Cherokee XJ. I'm looking for a name for it. I have no idea what to name it. I know that there are some popular names out there, like FlexJ or XJ or whatever the case is, right? So what's a good name for this one? Oh, and by the way, it is a 2-door. So the 2-doors are a lot more difficult to find, which kind of increases the price on them. But this one has very little to no rust on it. There are a couple of rust spots on the underside of it, which I will be painting with some rust preventative paint. There's that. The final thing that I'd like to do is, at some point, I would love to get a set of RCV axles for it and throw those on there. I think it's around $2,000 or so to throw it on the front. I don't think the rear needs anything different than the chrome mollies, so we're just going to leave those in there. Project 1. Let me know what you think. Did I get a good deal? Did I not? I really enjoy driving the Jeep. It doesn't have any issues doing 75 mile an hour down the highway. There's no death wobble. It does kind of drift a little bit due to the loose steering, and hopefully I'll fix that. So there it is. On to the next project. All right, so project number 2 is we got some wheels. We got some wheels for that guy. It is a K10 with the service bed and the ladder rack and so on and so forth. Right now it's got some beadlocks from Vanquish, and while I like the look of the beadlock, I don't think they look super great on that truck. So we did get some different beadlocks to try out. We got these. They don't look very good with these tires on there, but these are 2.2 hobby soles. And what's really cool about them is they do come with a hub, but the hub doesn't screw on with the 6 lugs. It actually screws in via it's a cap. It's got threads on the cap, so you just screw it in and out. So now you don't have to take 6 screws out to take the wheels off. You simply just take the cap off. Now it's a double-edged sword, because I'm guessing we're going to need to put Loctite on there or we're going to lose them. But overall, I think the wheels look really good. They also come configurable, so you can make them deep dish or like this. And the only downside is you can see the screw protruding, because it is a 3-piece wheel. So technically it's like a 4-piece wheel, but it's because it has the cap. Well, really 5 if you want to count the hub too. So yeah, we've got those for that. I put it on there. It doesn't look super great with these tires. I do need to get some different tires and stretch them on there. This is just stretched. I don't ever cut the tires to fit them. Put that together at some point in the future. But I did get these. This looks really good. The cool thing is that the stock foam's in here, so you don't really need inserts for these tires because they are stretched on the 2.2s. I mean, inserts help, but really what you're looking for in an insert is to prevent the tire from going all the way to the 1.9 clamp ring. So anyway, project number 2. So the third thing that I want to talk about is this bed. And it's not this bed specifically, it's what this bed is made of. So this is a regular VRD bed that I've designed and printed, but with a twist. So this filament that I've used here is the PPA CF from Bamboo. It is very strong. It is very, very, very strong. As a matter of fact, I can put this down on the floor just like this or upside like this, and I can stand on it. And then not only have I done that, but somebody else has done it as well, and they weigh, I don't know, probably 50 or 60 pounds more than I do. And it didn't break. And so very, very impressed with this filament. It is really high dollar stuff. It's like $150 a roll, but it works really good. So one of the things that I want to do in the future at some point is to do a filament comparison between PETG carbon fiber, ASA carbon fiber, PPA carbon fiber, and PA6 carbon fiber. One day we'll get to that. But in the meantime, if you're printing a body, a bed, or anything that's going to break potentially, or you break a lot of things, if you get this stuff here, you won't regret it. Now, you do need to look at the specs of your printer because this stuff prints very hot. Not only does it print very hot, but it requires a very hot bed. So the other tip that I can give you is you really want to dry this out. This is not AMS compatible. So if you put it in AMS, it won't actually do it because it's not AMS compatible. Another company makes the PPA CF. It's like $90 a roll instead of $150, but I don't know what it's like. I haven't printed it yet. I bought a roll. That'll be part of the filament challenge or the filament comparison, if you will. Anyway, project number 3, highly recommend bodies, beds, anything breakable. Print with this stuff, buy once, cry once, and you won't have to do it again. So the last thing I'm going to showcase is the good old Origin. I made a post about this the other day, and it got over like 300 reactions and a ton of comments. I haven't responded to any of them. Some of them are funny, some of them are whatever. But yeah, so I've been driving the Origin more and more. I love the 2.2s. I really, really hope that Vanquish releases a X-Ray in 2.2 that we can purchase if you're an Origin owner, because I prefer the 2.2s over the 1.9s for the wheelbase. This truck has been used very heavily. You can see the body rash on the side, and then if you look at this side, you can see more body rash. But the picture that got all of the attention is because it fell on the lid. So I was doing a climb like this, and the truck fell back, fell on the top, and yeah, you can see the mark there where it dented that in. So I'm gonna have to figure that out. A lot of people were like, oh no, you know, that's terrible. There goes $3,500. Well, not really. The goal for this truck was to run it and enjoy it. Vanquish has already stated on the live stream that they're going to sell replacement panels for these, so I'm not really worried. I'll probably, depending on how many panels that we can purchase, I'll probably buy 2 or 3 sets. I'm going to get a set of red to backfill this set of red, probably get a set of black, and then, I don't know, maybe a random color for the 3rd set. This truck is a ton of fun. A lot of people have their own opinion about it, which is completely fine. You know, it is what it is. I really like it. It's all about having fun. I bought it to have fun. I have fun with it. And if you have one and have fun with it, good for you. If you don't, and you don't like it, good for you as well. That's all we got. I know I'm rocking an Anderson Bros Outdoors hat with a Jake's Adventure Garage shirt. We did get the merch store updated. Links in the description below. Outside of that, I'm going to keep prepping for the event tomorrow at Tuttle Creek. And like I said, hopefully I'll get some footage there and post that within the next few weeks. Thanks everybody for tuning in and making it this far. Huge shout out to the JAG or Jake's Adventure Garage Club members. And as always, we hope you have a great day.